What's going on, everybody out in YouTube land? I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of GBA. For today, I'm going to go over some more recent game pickups that I got in the mail and in person over the last couple days. I think I've got a total of about 16 games here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. Some of these games are great, some of them are filler, but, you know, gotta check them off for the collection, so you need filler titles, right? But I'm going to start with the Nintendo games, and we'll go from there. First, for the NES, I picked this up on during an online auction, and got a great deal on it. It's got somebody's writing in it that somebody tried to take off with eraser or whatnot, but it's in good enough shape for me. I probably won't play this game too much because it's not really my style of game, but I picked up Exodus Ultima on the NES. So once again, Exodus Ultima, I got this for a great price. It's in decent condition. Stay tuned after the video because I'm going to take some close-up shots of these games so you can see some pictures of them. Probably get a little bit better idea of like what they look like. Alright, so next up on the NES, this is a bit of an uncommon game. I've been looking to pick it up, but you know, you just got to be careful how much you pay on sports games. One of the interesting things about this game though is it's actually an Atlas game. And I think I picked this up for $4 or $5, which is a pretty good price for this game. So on the NES, I got Golf Grand Slam. So yeah, I honestly haven't even really played this game. I just put it in the system to see if it worked. But just kind of happy to mark Golf Grand Slam off of the list of NES games that I needed. Alright, so moving on. I don't know too much about this game. I haven't really played it. But it's a Capcom game on NES, and everybody knows Capcom made some really great games on the NES. So if you guys know anything about this game, please let me know in the comments section below. But by Capcom, I got Destiny of an Emperor. Yep, so Destiny of an Emperor on NES. Once again, don't know too much about this game. Only kind of tested to see if it worked. I'll probably get into some of the gameplay soon. And see if I like it or not. Alright, so the last two titles on NES are games that I really wanted to pick up, and I'm glad to check them off the list. I want to spend a lot of time on these games, but honestly I haven't really had a chance to play too many of them, because I've gotten all of these games within the last 3 or 4 days, to be honest. But on NES, very happy to have this. I used to love this cartoon. It didn't last too long though, but we've got Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. It's not a game I see too often, so when I saw this for a decent retail price, I decided to grab it. But yeah, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes on NES. Alright, last up on NES, I got this game for a screamin' deal, and I have the other two on NES, so I'm very happy to add Adventure Island 3 to my collection. Once again, I got this for a very good deal. There's a little bit of label damage on it, but nothing really bad. As far as I know, this plays a lot like the other NES Adventure Island games, except this one kind of incorporates aliens, which is a little bit strange, but hey, you know, whatever, I'll go with it. But yeah, Adventure Island 3 for the NES. Alright, so moving on to Super Nintendo games. It looks like I've got a total of 5 Super Nintendo games that I've added to my collection, and most of these are pretty good titles with a couple fillers. And speaking of filler, the very first one, I actually got the Game Boy version of this game in my Video Games Monthly box a couple days ago. But for the Super Nintendo, I got We're Back, a Dinosaur Story. I mean, I popped this game in and I played it for a few minutes, and it's basically a platformer. So is the Game Boy version, by the way. But yeah, it was very cheap, so I just picked it up. Just check it off the Super Nintendo checklist. But we're back. A dinosaur story on the Super Nintendo. Alright, I didn't really play this game. I just popped it in to see if it worked or whatnot, but I think it's kind of like a strategy game, but I could be completely wrong. But for Super Nintendo, I got Pacific Theater of Operations. It abbreviates to PTO. So yeah, I found out there's actually a second game in this series on Super Nintendo, so I'm actively looking for that one as well. But for Super Nintendo, I got PTO, which again stands for Pacific Theater of Operations. So another one off the list for Super Nintendo. These last three games I've been looking to pick up for a while. Really love both of these series a whole lot. I've got the NES version of this, so now I picked up the Super Nintendo game. But for Super Nintendo, I've got Joe and Mac. So yeah, I mean, this is a very fun game. Plays kind of similar to the NES games. I know there's a second one of these on the Super Nintendo that I'm looking forward to getting, but of course it's a bit more pricey. But for now, this will do. I got Joe and Mac for my Super Nintendo collection. Alright, moving on. I've got two games here. Both of them are in the same series or whatnot, and I've been wanting to pick these up, so I finally pulled the trigger. I got ActRaiser for the Super Nintendo. And I also got ActRaiser 2 for the Super Nintendo. Both of these are pretty fun games. ActRaiser 1 incorporates a couple different genres of games into one, where ActRaiser 2 is more like an action game. At least that's the way it seems from what I've played so far. But I really enjoy both of these games, and just happy to have them. Alright, so in this video I only picked up one Nintendo 64 game, and I basically picked this up because it was dirt cheap, and I'm getting about halfway through the Nintendo 64 library now, so I'm kind of trying to pick up steam, getting some of the cheaper titles especially. But so this week I added to my Nintendo 64 collection NBA Jam 99. But I mean, come on, honestly, who doesn't like NBA Jam? I haven't never played the N64 versions, but I will pop this in and give it a try. Maybe I'll get my wife in here to play with me. Who knows? But yeah, for Nintendo 64, I got NBA Jam 99. Alright, moving right along to the Game Boy. I only got one Game Boy game for this collection video, and I actually play this arcade game a whole lot on my arcade racing cockpit, but I also have the Super Nintendo version of this game. But for the Game Boy, I picked up Chase HQ. These are really fun games, so I strongly suggest playing them. I like the Super Nintendo version a whole lot. The arcade version obviously is where the best game is, but I do like the Game Boy game too. So for Game Boy, I picked up Chase HQ. So next up, I usually don't buy a whole lot of Game Boy Advance games, but I saw this pop up, and I really wanted one of the games in this 3-game lot, so I ended up paying less for these 3 games than one of these games goes for. So the 2 games that I got that I wasn't really super stoked to get, not bad games though in any way, but I got Army Men Advance. I got the PacMan collection on Game Boy Advance. And the game that I really wanted the most out of this 3-game lot, and the reason why I bought this, I'm actually looking for this game on the Super Nintendo as well because I love shoot 'em ups, but this one will do for now. I got, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but I got Phalinex for the Game Boy Advance. This game on the Super Nintendo is a whole lot of fun. Also on the Super Nintendo, it has a very unique cover art. The Game Boy Advance version has more of a generic artwork on the game. But yeah, Phalinex for the Game Boy Advance. Always happy to add a shoot 'em up to the collection. Alright, so now for the last game that I picked up in the last 3 or 4 days or so. I got this game for a decent price. I didn't get a steal or anything like that, but I'm happy to have it. I love any Mario game pretty much, and I really like all of the Mario sports games. So on GameCube, very, very happy to have Mario Power Tennis. So once again, I got this for a few dollars less than the price charting price, so I am happy to get it. There are some stickers I gotta clean up, but that's not a big deal. None of them are actually on the artwork, and this came pretty much complete. So yeah, I mean, you can't beat it. The disc is in great shape. So really happy to add Mario Power Tennis to the GameCube collection. I think my GameCube collection is setting right around 130 titles right now. It might be a system I go for the whole set one day, but right now I'm just picking up games when I find them. But yeah, like I said, Mario Power Tennis on the GameCube. So that wraps it up. I think, like I said, that was about 16 games. And just happy to have them, to be honest with you. I'm going to spend some time playing some of the ones I really haven't had much time for yet. But yeah, I mean, if you don't mind, just please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. This is my 3rd episode, and I think I'm getting a little bit better at this as it goes along, and hopefully that continues. But yeah, I just want to say again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.